Hey, what's up, world, and welcome to the 138th edition of the Take One Podcast. I am your host, August C. Jones, and today, more coronavirus news. Other updates and just other things that have came about that I want to talk about. And I can't really talk about these things unless, I mention the coronavirus. So, sorry to have to retread that. I know it's been all over the place and people trying to keep their minds off of things. But, and what I'm talking about, I kind of really don't, I can't, exclude it, and that's what we talk about today on today's show, as well as I'm going to be talking about my channel update, just giving an update on my channel and just based on everything that's happening in the world around us. And then I'm going to do a couple movie reviews, and as well as I'm going to talk about some wrestling stuff, which I haven't talked about in a while on this podcast, nor have I did the Triple W podcast. But that's all in today's show. So with that said, let's go ahead and jump right into it. The first thing is just came out today that Idris Elba has been tested positive for the coronavirus. Now, I didn't mention this on Saturday's show, which I don't know why I forgot about it, but Tom Hanks and his wife, as we all know, contracted the coronavirus while in Australia, and they're still there and quarantined and everything else. And now we find out that Idris Elba is the latest celebrity to have contracted the virus. Now, he put out a video on Twitter talking about it and saying that he's okay and all that stuff, and that his wife hasn't got tested yet and she's okay. He hasn't been showing no symptoms or anything else. And he basically found out this Friday, and he's been quarantined ever since he found out. And it's crazy because this, like I said, this is only things that you see in movies. You would never expect something like this to happen. Now, stuff like this happen, but only in other places, in the world. This might happen in Mexico. This might happen in China or Japan. It don't happen to us like that. If it does, it's like a small little account, and it's really not something that I myself or a lot of people would really worry about. We'll hear it on the news and we'll just go about our day. It'll be in our minds, but we don't really look at it as like, damn, I really have to be careful. This is crazy. And that's just how it is. And to see that, and don't put it like this. I'm not putting celebrities on a pedestal like the media like to put them up on and everything else. And but like, their God characters like, oh my God, this God got sick. We can get sick. It's nothing like that. But, it's, I don't know. It's just, it's something to look at, that nobody is immune to this. Actors are getting it, like your neighbor can have it. You can have it, It's crazy just to look at of what all we're going through when it comes to this. People are buying out toilet paper and tissues and what is it, the cleaning things, I forgot, the sanitizer liquid, that's what I was thinking about. But it's just crazy how it's affecting our everyday lives. And one aspect that I do want to get into, but I'm going to get into it on tomorrow's show for Box Office Talk, because it's all about the movie theaters and how the movie theaters and the box office got affected this past weekend because of the coronavirus. I still went to go see some movies. It's still a movie that I need to see, which is I Still Believe, and might end up seeing it tonight or tomorrow. I don't know, but I might end up. I know I'm definitely gonna go check it out. But it's like, it kind of got me thinking like, I don't like, weighing the options. Should I go to the show or should I not? And I'm a person that loves to go to the show, and that's just on my mind. And it's like within these past weeks, there's really nothing that's going to be, or anything of note to be playing in theaters. But in any case, before I get into that, because that's going to lead right into the update of my channel, it's crazy to hear that Idris Elba has the coronavirus. It's crazy. Hopefully his wife doesn't have it. If she does, Hopefully they get through it. Hopefully Tom Hanks and his wife get through it. Hopefully everybody that is, that has the coronavirus is kind of like, they're able to get through it, because I'm at work earlier today just talking about it. Not as much as I was on Thursday, which was the last day I worked before today. Not as much, but at the same time, it was like, it's just something that's on everybody's mind, and everybody is scared to cough. Like, if I cough, even if it's just a cough, you're going to have people looking at you. You're going to have 10 people looking at you. If you sneeze, you got people looking at you. It's kind of like one of those type of situations. And I myself don't want to be in that type of box with the people. But at the same time, you just don't know. This will affect you kind of like, it's easy to catch it like a cold or flu. And that's how easy it is to catch. So you really don't know how to react to it. And people are quarantining themselves, banning all this and all that stuff. I mean, if you got it, you got it already. Like a lot of times with it, it's that easy to contract. In a sense, there's really no way to stop it unless you really just just quarantine. Like, you're just away from people. You got everything you need in your crib and you don't leave the crib. I could see that. But other than that, it's crazy just to look at this. But I hope Idris and his wife, if hopefully she don't have it, but if she does, hopefully they can recover and, just get over this hard time, because it's kind of hard on a lot of us. Stores are talking about closing down. Restaurants in certain states are closing down. Movie theaters in certain states are closing down. Like, it's crazy out here. It's just crazy. Hopefully it doesn't get any worse than this. Hopefully it gets better from here on. But like I said, there is no major films that's coming in within the next couple to a few weeks or whatnot, with the movies being pulled, a lot of channels are kind of like having to update their audience on what's happening with their channel, because a lot of these channels, like a Chris Stuckman or Jeremy Johns, or even like Flick Picks or whoever you may watch, like, they more than likely do movie reviews on new movies. They probably might do an old movie here and there, but majority of their views come from the newer movies that's coming out, because they'll get like, screenings or screener before the movie come out. So they have their review out a couple days before or that weekend and all that stuff. They stay more consistent than I am. All I can say. But, a lot of people look to them for those. And since there are no major movies coming out within the next couple to 3 weeks or whatever, it's like, what do they do? So a lot of them have to resort to, reviewing games, reviewing older films, or just movies that they hadn't got a chance to watch or review, and they're gonna do that. And all I gotta say for my channel, since I haven't been really consistent, I'm just trying to get caught up. Within this past week, I worked my ass off to get out all the reviews that I need to get out. This week is going to be no different. I'm going to spread all the movie reviews that I have planned for this week. Just spread it out between this week and next week. So I have plenty of movie reviews to rack up on and just put out. 2 I'm gonna do today, 2 I'm gonna do tomorrow, and just go on and so forth and so on as far as what I'm putting out. But it really isn't gonna be any change in my channel, because it's like I'm gonna review new movies. It don't matter. I don't have a big enough audience to where it garners like, where I'm in the position of a Chris Stuckman or Jeremy Johns or something like that. It's like, I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. Movies that I still need to get caught up on from February that I am going to be doing this week and next week. And then some movies from this month that I'm still getting a little bit caught up on, and I'm trying to like, just cross out and get out there, get my opinion and everything else. But as far as my channel, there's nothing really going to change. The only thing that's going to change really on my channel are just me adding new things. I'm having ideas for new shows and stuff that I want to introduce. No more new podcasts for right now for the time being, but as far as just other things that I'm trying to do. But that's really as far as like an update on my channel. It's not going to change too much. or just in any, it's not going to change at all. Everything is going to be, if it changes, it's going to be for the better. But yeah, I think that's really about it. Yeah, that's really it for the update. So let me jump into wrestling for a moment. So I have not spoken about wrestling in a long time. I had a podcast which went on for like maybe 14 episodes, maybe about just WWE, just stuff like that. But I kind of like fell out of wrestling. Like, I don't watch it like I used to. I'm starting to try to get back into it because I do want to bring back the podcast and talk more about wrestling. But it's more wrestling to talk about now more than ever, because I do want to cover WWE as well as NXT, AEW, and I think that's really what all I'm gonna cover, because trying to do all that on top of everything I'm doing, I just can't do it. Like, I'm trying to find time to even watch the show, let alone do a podcast on it and everything else. So life is just hectic. Not enough hours in a day. But one thing I wanted to talk about, and like I said, this is one of those situations I can't talk about it without mentioning the coronavirus. Now, it affected a lot of places, sports and everything else, and WWE is not, WWE, and I repeat, is not exempt from this. And that was kind of like one of the things, if you've seen Friday Night SmackDown, where they had SmackDown at the Performance Center in front of no crowd at all. Just no crowd. And it was kind of like, it was weird. It was so weird. I could see this episode being one of the episodes where they just, they had to do it. They had to do it last minute or whatever. They didn't have enough time to really prepare for, it. And so it came off looking kind of weird as hell, because you got wrestlers coming out to their entrance or whatever, doing the hand gestures and movements like there's a crowd. And I get it, that's how you're supposed to move, just normally in your entrance, but it just looks so weird. It just looked crazy weird. And it's like there's no crowd out there. I'm guessing that's something that they do when it comes to like, if they're not, if they're, before they get put on TV and they have to practice coming out on the entrance and everything, they have to go over every movement. They have to look, every which way, and, just how they're supposed to come out. I could see that. And then when they're wrestling, just to kind of get used to, wrestling on camera and everything else, I could see that, and it's not being recorded or anything. But this is on live TV. This is SmackDown, one of the flagship shows for WWE. This is SmackDown. And it looked just so weird. And some of the things that they were doing, even just in like how they were talking, Bayley and Sasha came out first. They were talking like there was a crowd there. I mean, the time they'll switch from talking that way to talking to Triple H and Michael Cole, that was in color commentators for that match. But it was like, it looked weird. Like they were practicing, but there was a camera recording and, it was being shot on live TV. Like, that's how it looked. And that's how the rest of the show was. It was the type of energy that they gave if there were like a crowd there. And it just seemed so off. Just really seemed off. And Jeff Hardy, his first time coming back, him coming back or whatever, is on this show where there's no crowd. So there's no crowd pop, no crowd reactions or anything. And so in thinking about that, I'm like, they should have kind of like talked with them and try to figure out a way to where they can come out and, kind of like adjust how they normally come out when there's a crowd to now. And I just had some thoughts. So this is how I look at it. Maybe when they come out a little bit different. Like, you're not coming out holding your ear to the crowd when it's like you're not hearing anything but your music. And if you're coming out with a tag team partner or a stable, you're hearing the people that's with you. And it's like, y'all not supposed to be yelling. I mean, adjust how you come out on your entrance to cater to no audience. And then anytime that you're having a promo, maybe direct it at the camera or direct it at the color commentators like Bailey and Sasha did. You know, talk to Triple H and Michael Cole or whoever is commentating for that night or whatever. Just talk to them. Aim your like questions or your promo at them and talk with them. You know, and have them get more involved with the with your promo to sell it and everything else. And then when somebody else come out, then they can go back and forth, blah blah blah. But on top of that, like they should adjust it. And I look at it like this. We don't know how long this is going to go for. We don't know how long, this is just that they're going to keep doing this. But for right now, I have a solution. I thought about it. I'm like, maybe you'll get the wrestlers' families to sit in the crowd. But, that defeats the purpose of not having the crowd at all. And I thought about, like, maybe you have wrestlers there. Maybe if it's like 20 wrestlers there. Maybe you have them around the ring. Which, could work, but at the same time, it's like, it's still going to be a whole empty crowd. Even at the Performance Center, it's like, it's going to look crazy. Even more, I mean, it's not going to look as crazy as just nobody out there, but, I mean, it's going to look crazy. So why don't you do it like this? Make it fan interactive. Since fans can't be there, why don't you put a poll out on WWE.com or Twitter or whatever and have people vote for what matches they want to see, who they want to, this and that, and then basically go off of that. Then maybe have some fan reactions, like maybe as the show go on, you're having it live. As the show going on, have fans like, okay, go on Twitter, post a video of your reaction to, what you want to see before the show airs or something like that, or who you're looking forward to see, just fighting, what matches you're looking forward to see and whatever. Maybe have some matches listed or, who you looking forward to see, basically. And just have, like, record a video and maybe have tweets. That way, Michael Cole, or maybe just have somebody come out and be like, such and such said on Twitter, blah, 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 I love Bailey. Go ahead, get them, girl. Something like that. Have somebody read the text or, the tweet. Or, have them do something on Facebook and all that stuff. Or, just send videos in. And then they just randomly pick fan pics of like, man, have somebody in front of their camera on their phone. But like, man, I'm looking forward to Stone Cold coming out and stumping the mud hole in everybody's ass. Maybe not cursing, but, just doing like that. Get fan reaction. Just have them play throughout the whole night. And just have it like that. And just, that way you'll have more fan interactions. And just do that with Raw, NXT, SmackDown for right now. Because if you're not going to have the crowd interaction, that will be the next best thing. Or have the tweets strolling at the bottom. Like, this and that. Like, that would be more interactive. Because if you can't have the crowd physically there, at least have them there through, the internet. And stuff like that. I feel like that will probably be a better thing because it will make the fans feel like they are there, and just tell them, like, just if you're gonna do it, keyword, WWE Live Raw or Raw Live, my comments or something like that, and then they just get randomly picked and all that stuff, and just do something like that. I feel like that will probably be better than them coming out to, no crowd and talking to the crowd that's non-existent. It's like a whole bunch of John Cena's just sitting out there. You can't see him, but he's out there, So I feel like that will be my solution. Hopefully somebody from WWE hears me. I doubt it. Or, this carries on and just like they, like, that is an awesome idea. Credit it to me. I don't need no money, but if you want to throw me some cash, throw me some cash. But that's just my solution. If I was working in WWE, that's basically what I would put, is just do that. It will make it more fan interactive, make it more fun, have somebody go through it and just pick out the best videos and this and that. If Roman Reigns coming out, maybe as he coming out through his entrance, have somebody, and just put a limit on the video. Say like 15 seconds. 15 seconds, that's it. Or 10 to 15 seconds, that's it. If it's more than that, then, you can't use it. But if it's 10 to 15 seconds, get across your point and bam. That way when the the wrestlers are walking out in the entrance, if it's Alexa Bliss and what's her name? God damn it. Nikki Cross. If it's them coming down, maybe have some like videos or tweets of somebody saying something good about them. Like, I love Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I hope that they take it tonight, and then maybe have a video like, oh my God, I'm turning on to see Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. I can't wait to see them dominate. Go girls. And I'm just, and just basically ended at that, and just have it as throughout the entrance, and maybe through the matches and stuff. Like, I don't know. That's just an idea that I had. But in any case, let me go ahead and end that and jump into the movie reviews. So first off, let's just talk about Emma. Emma is a movie about really nothing. Really just nothing. After seeing the movie, I honestly could not come up with anything of what the movie is about. I really couldn't think of it. I looked on Google, and it really doesn't give anything to any type of plot or nothing. It really just accentuates what I got from the movie. Now, this movie stars Anya Taylor-Joy, and honestly, like, it's really about nothing. It really is. It's a movie that has random things happen. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not poo-pooing on the movie. I'm not poo-pooing on it. But it is a movie where just nothing really happening. Nothing of like major crisis, or, there's really nothing at stake in this movie for the main character played by Anya Taylor-Joy. And it just goes from there. I mean, the movie does have like great performances. It does have great set and costume design, and it's crazy good. Just fucking crazy good. The cinematography is great. Just the overall look of the movie is just really, really good. Anya Taylor-Joy, to me, she is just beautiful. Just beautiful. Sexy as hell. It's just something about her. And she is just a sight to behold when looking at this. It's like, if you don't see this movie for anything else, just looking at her, it's like you'll get through the whole movie just with looking at her. And she is the main character, so it makes it all the better. But other than that, like, just visually, it does, like I said, it looks great. And the only other thing that I could say about this movie that stood out to me was the accent and just how they, talk. Now, this is Old English, European England or whatever. And it's just the way that the language that they use, certain like phrases and all that stuff, it is a period piece. Just certain phrases they use. In other movies, I'll be able to understand every single word. It was points in this movie where I felt myself like, what the fuck did they just say? I don't know, like, for some reason at certain points it was hard to like figure out what the hell they were saying to each other. And so I found myself lost. I don't know if I was the only person that seen this movie that had that feeling, but I couldn't help it. And that was all through the movie. Now, it wasn't like I didn't understand the word that they were saying because they were speaking English. It was just in how they were saying stuff. It was just, I really didn't, like, at certain points, I really just didn't understand it. I'm like, what the fuck did they just say? What was this conversation about? But that brings me back to my point. This movie, the overall fault of this movie was that it was really about nothing. Now, it has a 71% on Rotten Tomatoes, so a good bunch of like critics and people like it, but I just felt like there was like, what did this movie have to offer? Like, what? Like, I just didn't understand what this movie was about. It's just random stuff happening, random characters doing this and doing that, having like weird kind of like, interactions. And the interactions were good. The chemistry between certain characters were good. But I just didn't understand what this movie was about. It was literally just about nothing. And at times that's cool. But when you're going to go see the movie, you kind of want something more out of it. And it's sad to say, out of all the good things I had about this movie that I said, it was just that one big fault that just kind of like takes me out of it, which I'm going to have to give this movie a miss. It's just, it wasn't a hit for me. It was a movie that if I watch it again, I'll be watching it just so I can look at Anya Taylor-Joy like a little creepy stalker. But other than that, it's not a movie that I would sit there and be like, oh, y'all need to check this out, blah, blah, blah. You know, it's like it was there, you know. I don't regret seeing it, but it just was not a movie that really caught my attention. I really didn't care too much for it or what really was happening. The stuff that I did understand what was going on, but hey. Now, the next movie I'm going to talk about is The Way Back, starring Ben Affleck, which is about a guy who was a former basketball player in high school, in which he basically grew up and became an alcoholic, and he ends up getting hired by his old school to be the coach to try and get them to, you know, win a game. And along the way, he ends up finding out that he needs the team. Well, the team needs him just as much as he needs the team. And so going into this movie, it looked like, you know, it was going to be something pretty decent. I was sad to say that I left the theater just like there were certain things that they could have done better. So I did like Ben Affleck in the role. Ben Affleck did great. Did a great job. But the movie lacks in its balance of the story of what it was trying to do. I mean, the story is mainly about Ben Affleck's character and everything else. But I was confused at the point of setting up certain characters and how they were introduced, like the basketball players, and really not do anything with them. It was like they kind of played the background, but yet you introduced into certain parts of their lives and certain things that happen with certain basketball players that would set up for maybe more of a story for them as well as Ben Affleck's character and everything else. And it just didn't do that. It was set up something and just kind of like leave it there. It was something that happened to one of the characters, one of the basketball players earlier in the film after he became the coach. And he came back later, something else happened to where he kind of rectified the situation. And it just disappeared. So when he showed up later in the movie, it was like, I forgot all about him. I didn't even know that. I forgot that he was even in the movie. This character, like, you know, it was crazy. I just didn't like how they did certain things like that. I felt like they could have had a balance between Jack, which is Ben Affleck's character, and the basketball team members. Because, like, if you're going to set them up for certain things that happen in their lives, then have them have a more of a major role. Just don't play them to the background. And I feel like they spent too much time explaining how big of an alcoholic Jack is, and that time could have been spent on other characters, not even just the basketball, character, basketball players, but, maybe some other people in his life, because there are other people in his life that try to help him out or see that he has a problem and everything else. It's like, you could have spent a little bit more time on that, especially the basketball players, like I said. But yeah, like, that was just a major flaw in this movie. But one of the other things is that I love how they put the emotion behind it, because you get behind the main character Jack, like, you want him to get better, but at the same time, when he fucks up, he does something, just that he shouldn't be doing, you get upset with him. Like, when you do it like a friend that may be in that situation or a similar situation. But I feel like they didn't play to the strengths that they could have played to when it came to that type of aspect. You got a little bit of the emotion, but it wasn't as hard-hitting as they could have made it. But overall, this movie, it's I say it's decent enough to check out, but for me, it is a miss. It's not a movie that I would highly recommend to anybody, but I wouldn't tell people to stay away from it. It just, for me, it just didn't do it for me. But hey, that's just my opinion, and that is the end of this podcast. I thank you guys for joining me, and if you have not listened to any of the other podcasts that I dropped, the Play One podcast, the latest episode of Box Office Talk, my new podcast, The Countdown, and the latest episode of Reviewers Cast, which was formerly known as the Review Podcast. Go ahead, check that out. It is all on my channel. Link is in the description below. And I will catch you guys on the next one. Peace out. Hey, before you guys leave, make sure you hit that like button as well as that subscribe button. And you see that little bell? Make sure you hit that to turn on your notifications. That way you'll be notified for anything that appears on my channel. Hope to see you guys next time. Peace out.